So we're going to figure out what's going to work for you as well as what's going to work for me. So we are also talking about changing how they communicate. But first of all, we have to discover the need. Meet the need. Now you've got them on board. Now they feel heard and understood, and they are satisfied. Now you say, okay, the next time you have this need, it works better for me instead of spitting at me if you just.
Hi, I'm Staci Neustadt. I am a speech language pathologist and the CEO at Making Sense of Autism, and I'm a student of Susan.
And I'm Susan Golubock. I am a now retired occupational therapist who has worked many, many years after I discovered even my own autism with other autistic individuals. I founded Making Sense of Autism because of my passion to not only understand my brain and how it worked differently, but to try to explain what I've learned to other people so that they're more understanding and therefore more accepting and more accommodating to autistic individuals.
So, our goal is to help you provide the right support without trying to fix autism, but by understanding it. So, whether you're a parent, teacher, therapist, or just someone who wants to learn, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe and join us every week. We talk about a new topic. Welcome to Making Sense of Autism. We share conversations that help parents and professionals better understand the autistic brain so autistic individuals can feel seen and supported. If that's the kind of support you're looking for, be sure to subscribe and follow along. Something I hear all the time when people start learning about neuroaffirming support is this concern. If we follow the child's lead, does that mean we just accept every behavior? And honestly, that question makes sense because when people hear phrases like child-led or behaviors communication, they sometimes worry it means we're supposed to ignore aggression or screaming or unsafe behavior. But that's not what neuro-affirming support means. Recently, Susan said something that I think explains this perfectly. The behavior may still need to change when it isn't serving the student or the environment. What changes is how we understand and respond to it. So, Sue, I'd love for you to unpack that for us. What do you think people sometimes assume neuro-affirming support means? Why do they think we can just accept every behavior?
What we're asking them to accept is that the behavior is communicating something to you about a need that they have. And unless you recognize and meet that need, it's not going to go away. Even if you force them to change their behavior, it still is an unmet need. That relationships require two people meeting each other's needs to be called a relationship. Otherwise, it's a dictatorship. One person gets all the power and the other person has no choice but to obey. And vice versa, if you switch it to where the child has total control and you have none, that's not a relationship either. So what we want to find is a balance between and recognition that each person has a need. And so therefore you recognize what the behavior is communicating, because that's the primary disabling feature of autism is social communication, which says, I can't always come up with the words. I can't make the shift to find the words that say what I want to say unless you give me a whole lot more processing time, which in that moment probably isn't feasible. So they act on their feelings rather than speaking about their feelings or talking about their feelings. That doesn't come easily to an autistic, but acting on it does. It's much easier for them. So they are communicating. And if we recognize it as oh, You just told me something I wasn't expecting. Well, let's figure out what it is you're telling me because it isn't obvious to me. So once I then understand what your need is, now we can sit down and problem solve, i.e., it doesn't meet my needs, either what you need or or the way you communicated it doesn't suit my needs, but I understand you have a need. So we're going to figure out what's going to work for you as well as what's going to work for me. So we are also talking about changing how they communicate. But first of all, we have to discover the need, meet the need. Now you've got them on board. Now they feel heard and understood, and they are satisfied. Now you say, okay, the next time you have this need, it works better for me instead of spitting at me. If you just go, I don't like it. I don't care whether it's your, pick on something you know they can do, which if they can make a gross approximation of a gesture, or even tightening up in a facial expression, go with whatever you think they can do, but give them options. Now, you could do this, you could do this. All of those are, I will accept and understand. Now they're going to be motivated to do it your way because they're going to know that if I do it, they're going to understand me. We're not going to have to go through this whole process of figuring out because they're going to get me. So yes, I'm highly motivated to use, and especially if I get to pick it.
And I feel like sometimes if you're not sure what the need is, parents that are really in tune with their kids, they know. And so if you're working in a school and you're really unsure of what the behavior is communicating, reach out to the parent and give the scenario, see what they think it could be communicating. And if you're working at home, definitely ask them and see if there's a pattern with that behavior, if it happens at a certain time of day or with a certain activity. So you both can figure out, okay, what is the unmet need in this situation, which could even be an expectation, right? You're putting an expectation on the individual that they don't feel like they can meet. And so they're communicating in the only way they know how. And like Sue said, providing an alternative for that is so powerful. I always tell parents, if you give them the language or the gesture or the picture on the AC device, teach them how to navigate to the word or use a picture, they're going to start using that instead of the behavior because it's much faster and everyone will understand it. So, from your perspective as an autistic adult, what's the difference between someone trying to control your behavior versus someone trying to understand it?
Oh, the one thing that I desired growing up was not what I got. Praise for when I did what they expected me to do or wanted me to do. That just made me angry. But what I truly wanted was somebody to simply say, I can see how hard you're trying. This isn't easy, is it? And I appreciate the fact that you're trying. Oh man, that would have made the world of difference growing up, was just recognize how hard it is for me to do some of the things that the typical brain does so easily and automatically. You can't even imagine that it could be hard for someone. And I understand that's the frustrating thing about autism is that our brains don't, we require more time. We don't have super highways of connections. We've got to take back roads and we have to decide which of those back roads to take in order to get where we want to go. It requires a lot more cognitive or conscious awareness of what we're doing. Nothing comes easy and automatic. Even my signature to this day, I have to say each letter as I write it. I cannot just write my name and think of something else. No way. So just recognizing that things are hard for us, and the fact that I'm doing the best I can with what I can think of to do at this moment, which is usually a behavior of some kind. and recognize, oh, you couldn't come up with the word, you could, but so let's think about it. Let's come up with a way that would be fast and easy for you, that would communicate it, and be more successful in getting your message across. Because we also know how frustrating it is that people don't understand us.
You feel like is the most common thing that someone might be trying to communicate the need for?
The fear of expectation is probably the biggest. Because I know with the clients that I work with, and I know for myself, that when someone would make an expectation, or even just an invitation, would you like to? My first response is always no. No, even because I haven't had time processing it. And then sometimes I regret, I wish I would have said yes. But if I say yes, then I'm expected to do it right then and there. And I haven't even processed what it is and what I need to do. So I have to say no right away. Um, and so my response is always going to be a negative one, unless you recognize my greatest need is time to process. And therefore, if you simply say, I want to show you something. And if you think you want to try it after that, I'll give you the opportunity. You can try it. But I want to show you. Man, that takes all the burden off of me of having to quickly decide. I get to watch what you do. And if I watch it, I can decide. I've got the processing time to decide, yeah, I think I could do that. Now I'm going to say yes, because you've given me the time.
Yeah. That's so important, that processing time. I know that's been essential for so many of my clients, and that is such an easy thing to do. Just give that time, the pause, which actually, now that I say that, it's easy. I know today's day and age that moves very quickly. For some people, that's harder, but that pause, that is good for everyone to just kind of stop after you provide the information or give the command or ask the question and just give them time to respond. And I would definitely agree with the expectation that is a big one. And I feel like a lot of us as professionals, that's what we go in with when we go into our therapy session or we start our teaching day. The expectation that I'm going to teach you the skill and then you're going to demonstrate it is very common. And so maybe adding, like what you said, the example or the invitation or the showing before the expectation would reduce a lot of frustration.
You know what would also help is if you would acknowledge up front. I realize it takes you a little longer to figure things out or to be sure this is what you need or want. So if I pause, I'm giving you time. And because sometimes silence, just pausing, that's the expectation overhanging. They're waiting, they're waiting, they're waiting, and it makes me anxious. Now I can't function because I'm so anxious. I've gone to the emotional part of my brain because I don't understand when people are silent what that means. To me, it means they're expecting something and I'm not delivering. So it would really, really, really help if you would acknowledge that as one of the primary needs that autistics have is processing time. And say, I'll give you time. Don't worry about it. If I pause, I'm just giving you time.
And I think you know, at the beginning, you mentioned this shared, really this relationship. It may be vulnerable for individuals, but sharing your perspective on that as well of, oh, yeah, I need a few minutes to process what people are saying too. Or I like it when people show me a video or show me how to do something too. So sharing yourself and balancing that understanding that they aren't the only one that maybe this is a challenge for, that also builds that balanced relationship of, I see this makes you frustrated. Oh, this makes me frustrated too sometimes. How can we figure this out together? So we're definitely not saying that behavior should be given into, but we're also not saying behavior needs consequences. It really just needs to be understood and worked out together, because understanding behavior is not the same as excusing behavior. When we understand autistic individuals better, behavior becomes less about control and really more about that connection. And all these examples we've provided today are have included how to really connect with the individual.
And if you
Thank
apply what we've learned or what we've just talked about, you're going to see a social connection. Autistics are reluctant to connect to people they don't understand or think are like them. Our perception is you're different. You're not like us. But if, like Staci mentioned, you mentioned, yeah, I don't really like that either, or I do better if this kind of thing. Wow, now all of a sudden I feel a connection with you, a human connection. You struggle too? Oh, I felt like I was the only one. I put people on a pedestal that they know everything, they do everything, because they never admit that they don't know. They never admit that they can't. And so, therefore, I assume they can do everything. And now they're expecting me to be like them, and I'm not that way. So, yeah, you're going to build a really social connectedness by just simply talking about yourself as a human being.
So thank you for joining us for this conversation today. Hopefully you slow down, start to observe, provide that pause for processing, and see if you can figure out what is this need that the individual is needing in this moment. Also, what do I need? How can we work this out together and create a balance and problem solve together? If you find this helped you better understand autism, be sure to subscribe to our channel and share this video with someone who wants to support autistic individuals in a more understanding way. And if you want more tools and resources, be sure to visit us at makingsenseofautism.com. Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Staci.